lineups. Obviously, discuss first. We've also got that. And of course, we'll get up to date with the Romero versus Bruno situation. And of course, there is a Johan Wissa update once more. So we'll come to that right at the very end, the Wissa stuff. So yeah, we are live on Twitch and YouTube. If you're watching the rerun, I would like to get your comments in the comments box below. And if you're watching this live, drop us. You'll see the live chat approach next to me here. I always do that the wrong way all the time. Can I remember Tom Mirror? Right. So Spurs then, obviously, as you're walking into the ground after a mad week away for all of us Toon fans away in Marseille, which was all right, actually, for me personally. I know a lot of Newcastle fans were caught up in controversy. And then Everton on Saturday night was absolutely class, wasn't it? Absolute, what a night. Great stadium, absolute nightmare to get out of. You feel a bit rough trying to get out and about in Everton's ground, but it was a fantastic weekend for Newcastle. And can you then go on and, Spurs 3 wins out of 3, obviously beating Man City last week, and then obviously Everton at the weekend. So Newcastle won a little bit of good form domestically. Obviously, we'll not talk about Marseille. We'll get that out of the way. So all eyes were on, would Eddie Howe then rotate the side? And we were all keeping an eye on the team sheet because we thought, right, there's obviously another game coming up in midweek, and he did. He had 2 Jake Murphy come in for Langa. I thought Langa, obviously Eddie Howe was pretty him, and the other change was Tonali coming for Bruno Guimarães. Obviously, Eddie Howe has been rotating the midfield 3. So we've seen Joe Linton have a place on the bench a couple of games ago. We've seen Tonali, and obviously we've seen Bruno. Louis Miley is getting a run in the side in a minute. The only midfielder who's not had a start is Ramsey. So all eyes on Ramsey starting this weekend if it's betting man. That's probably going to happen. So, as you say, the lads are just warming up, ready to go back into the dressing room. So, not too many changes was there from Eddie Howe, let's be honest. And then, right, Howard, then war flags display, getting this against the Spurs side that isn't particularly performing really well. They've got what before the Toon game, it was something like 1 win and 7, and they've only won 1 and lost the others, or maybe drawn 1, but they're not in good form. And you think to yourself, however, this is Newcastle season's starting new. You've got a lot of games in December, a lot of points that you can pick up, and it would be a good chance to beat Spurs side, I think personally Spurs will be mid-table. I don't think they'll be in the higher end of the Premier League. And obviously Thomas Frank is taking over from Postecoglou, where they finished, 16th or 17th in the league. And since they've lost Kane, since they've lost Son, they don't have that fear factor. Yes, they've won the Europa League, but it's like, oh my God, Spurs, because Spurs at St. James's Park have an awful record. And you look earlier this season where we won them 2-0 in the Cup, which I forgot. If you see me Lake District video, we'll move on from that. And obviously we've battered them the 6-1, and year after year we seem to have a good record as Spurs in particular at home. So first half of them, get your comments coming in. Jordan's in the live chat. Hello, keep an eye on. I thought we started really well. I really did. I thought we had a lot of the ball. We had Jacob Murphy cross, Valdemar headed not that far out. I had a couple of shots from distance, which didn't really test for Vicario, to be honest. But the best chance was the Joe Linton one, wasn't it? Where he's on that right-hand side, he's bursting through, and he hits it low, which is the right thing to do, and he hits the post. He's probably a little bit unlucky. Angle is against him. And on the other hand, Spurs didn't really have any other chances except from the one. Kudus is probably Spurs' best forward player at the minute, to be honest. He does Lewis Hall on that right-hand side, and it's very rare that Lewis Hall gets done. And then he comes back to Egval, I think it's Egval, and he flicks it and it just goes over. If that gan's in, that'll be contender for goal of the season. Very talented young Swedish midfielder. So obviously in a few of the Newcastle lads, ex and present, will know all about his talents as well. He flicks it just over the ball as well. Jordan wants Eddie Howe out. Really? I disagree on that. 35 minutes, we were decent, just no end product. Unlucky Joe's chance. That was unlucky, and that's coming from Turpi Marcanio, if I pronounced that right. Sounds very Italian. So first half, I think we need that goal. We need that goal. And then the second half kicked off, and then it was a case of, I was saying to one or two of the people around us in the galley, I was saying, it's got 0-0 written all over this, hadn't it? Nobody wants this game. And then all of a sudden, it came to life, didn't it? And I am going to put this video up as a short, this clip that you're about to see, because Bruno's passion is just incredible, isn't it? Look, let's get it played. And Valdemar lays it off to Bruno Guimarães on the side. And you have to say, it's an unbelievable finish for Bruno Guimarães. Just beautiful placed in the corner. Obviously, he was a half-time substitute for Sandro Tonali. Just a little bit on Sandro Tonali. He's got a slight injury. That's why he was brought off at half-time. There hasn't been any further news about that so far, but what a moment for Bruno Guimarães doing his celebration. We will be talking about that celebration a little bit more in this live show. But yeah, fantastic. Newcastle are off to a 1-0 lead. You're thinking, brilliant. Right, you're 1-0 up. You scored a beautiful goal for Bruno Guimarães. Can you go on? You need that second goal. I always bang the drum that you need that second goal to make yourself a little bit more comfortable. And it didn't come. And unfortunately for me, there is a few questions that I do need to ask about our defensive performance. Now, most of the videos that we've done, the reactions up and down the country, abroad, have predominantly been that Newcastle aren't scoring enough goals at the other end. It's rare that we talk about defensive, and it's probably one of the first that we have the need that we are. Turpey's gone on also saying in the comments, I was saying that it had 1-0 written all over it, and then we score and sit back as per usual. And the tactics aren't particularly great, are they? So, I want to talk about the goal that we concede, because Romero's kept himself forward, and obviously this is a still image, so it's a little blurry, but you can see Romero's done the diving header, can't you? There's two things I want to question here. Romero's obviously beat Dan Burn to the ball. You can see that clearly. But Ramsdale's position, he's in a fantastic position to guard his near post. Should he be saving that? Because if that's Nick Pope will be criticised. Should Aaron Ramsdale be saving that because it's so close next to him? Yes, it's got pace on him, but that's at his near post. And for me, I think Ramsdale has to save that. If it goes the other direction, because there's like 3/4 of the goals free, fair enough. Need bother. But Dan Burn gets beaten first, and Ramsdale, yes, it's at speed, but I think he has to save that. I think he's probably Ramsdale's. I haven't seen much criticism, to be honest, online. But for me, I think he has to save it. And that come with pace. How do you feel about that? How do you feel? So, Eddie says, Geordie's got to say, Eddie stays for me for now, but a lot of work needs to be done. Proper mess on and off the pitch. Jordan says, how do I join the team and do videos with you guys? It's a very complicated process. You can drop us an email if you want, Jordan, but it's very complicated. Turpey goes on to say, Cross needs closing down. I agree on that as well. I do. Burn needs to do better, and so does Ramsdale. Pope probably saves that, I'll be honest. Yeah, so that's the beauty about, obviously, do you prefer shot stopping or do you prefer distribution? Can't have it both. You can't say, oh, well, Ramsdale's great with his feet, but Pope's better shot stopping. What you're preferring? I don't know. Look, I'm still 50-50 on it. I know a lot of Newcastle fans want Ramsdale to be the number one, and I do get it. I'm not against the idea, but I don't think it's like a huge swing, if that makes sense. I think it's a slight. I think Ramsdale's probably going to be the number one now because he's got a run of games, and likely he'll probably keep his place if he performs well. Obviously, there's a lot of games in December, and the last thing we need is an injury to Ramsdale, because then it's John Ruddy's like, fuck, isn't it? So 1-1, can you pick yourselves back up and then go goal? Now, the penalty is controversial. Now, again, because when I did the match reaction, I didn't see none of this. Obviously, you just see a bit of scuffle. Initially, I thought it was Valdemar. You might have seen that on the match reaction. So this penalty, I think, is harsh. However, I can also see why the refs give it. Because the midfielder, I think it's Bentancur, is not looking at the ball at all. However, he's mad handling Burn, is he? It's more like he's blocking him. He's him, he's blocking him. He hasn't got his arms wrapped around him or anything like that. Burn goes, and it's like Burn gets up and it's like a half-hearted attempt at ref. However, that's a penalty. It's like it's not. You haven't got 4 or 5 players screaming at the referee, have you? And there's only Burn who gets up and thinks, "Had a minute, nah, it's half and half chance." However, obviously it goes to VAR, and the longer it goes to VAR, 9 times out of 10, it's given. Free Ganzawa, he has a look at it, and he clearly says in the microphone is that the player hasn't got any eyes on them. He's focusing on Dan Burn. And I'm saying this as a Newcastle fan. I think it's harsh. I think we're lucky. I think we're very, very lucky to get that penalty. And that's not me being anything like biased. I love the two and I want the two to do well. You get honesty on this channel. For me, that's not a penalty. For me, that's not a penalty. I think we're very, very lucky to get that, because how many times does that happen during a game of football in the penalty box when a corner comes in? You're talking 5 to 10 times at least. I think we've gone away with one. I really do. I really do. Let's come to your comments as well. What is I saying? Turpy's got it saying, nah, it's a bit of a piss take that happens. Really typical thing to happen to us. Can't just change the keeper and him to do well, and he should be saving the second one too late. Really, 2 poor goals to concede. Penalty soft. I'd be fuming if it was us. And Jordy says, I was for Ramsey in, but last night sadly did not convince me. Ramsdale needs a run of games. Nobody should be wanting him to come out the side after one game. No, you're right. And he will get that run of games. And I think that's what a lot of fans have been asking for, isn't it? And he will get that. He's going to play the next 5 games, because obviously we've got a game every, 3 days, 4 days? So the games are coming thick and fast for the tune in December. But that was disappointing. Obviously, the one that we conceded. But I think, as I say, I think we're fortunate to get the penalty. So the shoot made, obviously, Anthony Gordon come on by this stage, and obviously we've seen a switch with Alanga on the right-hand side. Anthony Alanga off the bench, down, Barnes dropped back to the bench. These 2 lads were on. Anthony Gordon steps up, scores. Newcastle are 2-1 up, and you're thinking, do you know what? We're going to go and win this game somehow, because Spurs are Spursy. You never know what you're going to get with Spurs. They didn't, as I said, they don't have that fear factor anymore for me. They're the weakest of the so-called greedy 6, I think. And I don't even think there is a big 6 anymore. I think there's an 8 or 9 now, because you've got Newcastle in there the last few seasons. You've also got Aston Villa regularly in there as well. I don't think it is a 6. I think there's at least an 8. And then even like a Brighton trying to break in and stuff like that. So you're 2-1 up. You're thinking, right, okay. Now at this stage, what do? Do you then go 5 at the back pot and try and take 3 points? Or do you just keep it the way it is? Because Spurs are having a lot more of the ball. Now, when I seen the substitutions of Fabian Schär come on, I got the substitution. I agreed with it at the time. I don't think there's anything wrong with going 5 at the back. I think what is wrong is how we conceded the goal. We'll have to be doing better. Doesn't matter if we've got 4 at the back, 5 at the back. The way we've conceded that equaliser, fucking shocking. It is really, really poor. Really, really poor. So I want to come on to Alanga came on, actually. Didn't come off. The other way around. Because Alanga is involved in the equaliser. And I've got any problems with Eddie Howe trying to keep the 5. I get that. I get tactic, but it's the manner of the way that we've conceded. So first of all, the corner comes in. Ramsdale's punched it. But for me, Anthony Alanga, why isn't he running down and tracking down? After this, watch the replays of the goals again. Romero's got 3, 4, 5 seconds for the ball comes down and bounces him. Nobody out him. Anthony Alanga is the nearest man, not switched on. He's not aware. Even if he doesn't win the ball, put him off. Just make him aware that your presence is there. He didn't do it. Romero's got a free overhead kick. And that's the first part. The second part is Malik Chow. I'm not going to put loads of blame on Chow, because I think Dan Burn, as you see in this still picture, is waiting for Chow, because the ball it goes so fucking slow at the back of the net, and that's why I'm so frustrated at it, because it must have bounced about twice. Malik Chow misses it, and it's right next to him. That's put Dan Burn off. Then Ramsdale's had to then react late to it because, as you said in the still shot, the ball's then gone past Dan Burn. Ramsdale's reacted. He can't get to it because everyone is anticipating that Malik Chow will get a touch to it. Burn, Ramsdale did get the touch, and again's an equaliser. It's an awful goal to concede because, for me, as I say, I'll go back to it. Anthony Langa has to be pressuring or putting off Romero, and Chow has to be touching that ball. Because if Chow touches the ball, and Malik Chow's been min for it, I'm not going to criticise him too heavily because it's kind of like just there for him, right next to him. It's just get a touch. If he touches it, he clears it. So that one is disappointing. The goals that we have conceded. I am going to come back to Romero as well because that was late on. It was the 95th minute or something like that. But let's talk about what else is saying. Wolfson's now joined us. Hi, Lee. Hope you're all right, mate. I thought, where in the world would 9 minutes stoppage time come in? Yeah, and it'll be probably because of the goals, the VAR, the subs, and do you know what? When 9 minutes goes up on the board, that lifts Spurs. Of course it does. Because we're like, oh, fucking hell, when we're looking at that. Spurs like, right, we've got nearly 10 minutes. However, then we can probably get an equaliser if we have a chance. You did, didn't it? It's a mentality, isn't it? And obviously, Spurs fans are all celebrating as they're coming out singing and all that, like they've won a game. But, really, really disappointing. I do want to come back to Romero very, very shortly. I am looking for another clip that I want to show you too. But Newcastle obviously only pick up a point, and it was just so bloody frustrating coming out of that ground, wasn't it? Let's hear from Eddie Howe.
Well, I think we're hugely frustrated with ourselves, really. That was a game where we had to work really hard for the first goal. I thought we were the dominant team and knocking on the door all through the first half. The goal came when it came and felt then we were in a strong position, having been relatively comfortable defensively, to then concede the 2 goals in the way that we did, in the manner that we did, is hugely disappointing because, we pride ourselves on being better than that defensively. Yeah, and that's why it's frustrating in so many ways because I agree, I think 4 performances since the last international break have been really strong. The defeat in Marseille was strong, today was strong, maybe not the highs of Everton, but good. And we had an opportunity to grab another positive result and we didn't take it. And when you add that to some of the other points that we've lost late in games, it's really cost us in our league position, and there's no denying that those points added back to us would put us in a lot stronger position. And that the league is so tight, we know that, and that's why 3 consecutive wins was our target tonight. I suppose that's the Premier League. That's what makes it the league that it is. That's what makes football so dramatic and why we're all obsessed by it. So
that was Eddie Howe on Newcastle drawing 2-2 with Spurs. Obviously, he did say that's the beauty of the Premier League, and that's why footballers were obsessed with it. And just touch upon again with Sandro Tonali while waiting to see what happens with Tonali. I want to touch upon Johan Wissa because it's just happened today. And for me, Johan Wissa, from what it looks like to the journals, he could be ready for this weekend. That'd be a massive, massive boost, wouldn't it? He's played at the weekend, 11 versus 11, behind closed doors friendly. No details of that has emerged, whether that's just with the under-18s. Well, under-18s normally play on a Saturday, or it's just like some of the training staff. Who knows? But he also has been involved in another we'll call it a practice match. He's been involved in another one, which Luke Edwards, and I think another journal's quoted it today. I think it was Craig Hope has done it. Have said that this has played another game, come through that okay. So he could be ready for the bench. Now, with so many games now here with Newcastle, obviously Valdemar has been mint for it. But he does look absolutely knackered when it gets to about 65, 70 minute mark. He does. The pressing slows down massively. Because pace isn't about his game. Of course not. But this off the bench would be a fantastic option, even if it's just for the next 2 or 3 games until he's ready to start a game. And when he starts, you can give him an hour, building up, whatever. Because we've got a lot of games to do that. So, I want to talk about some performances as well, then we'll come to your live chat as well. I thought Joe Linton was poor, mind. Give the ball away so many times. I thought he was really, really poor. Obviously, we've talked about the defensive goals as well. We should be doing better. Yeah, Tonali I thought was actually pretty decent first half, to be fair, because there's some of the interceptions that he did. It was just a shame that he went off. Murphy, I would have liked to seen a lot more of him. Obviously, the first half in particular, he's linked up, getting the balls in good. Barnes had a chance as well. I forgot to mention this. Barnes had the chance when he burst through, and the keeper saved as well. And then it was Valdemar's header that was cleared off the line. But Bruno obviously coming off the bench scoring. Gordon, whatever you think of him, takes the penalty, the pressure, scores that. That's good for him, his confidence. Newcastle unbeaten. That's another positive you want to take from that. I'm struggling now. I am really starting to struggle. Scored 2 goals, so it looks like that we're scoring goals now in the league, which is a positive. Because if you look at Man City, you look at obviously Everton, and now the night we're scoring more than just one a game, which is better. Let's have a look what he's saying. Turpy's got a lot of comments coming in. Only criticism: how we'll be playing Joe Linton for the full 90. Visit on the bench on Sunday, I reckon. For the weekend, that'll be class. Saturday, you mean? I know what you mean. Good interception, nothing else. Murphy was shocking. Miley was good. Yeah, not Jamie Miley, that's his brother. There's that many Mileys. Lewis Miley obviously playing that number 6 role, and he's starting to, he got ahead of Sean Longstaff at the back end of the season as the next guy come off the bench, and now he's playing a little bit more football, which is good. And it's good to see him get a little bit more praise as well. He looks a lot more assured, doesn't he, in that position? And obviously he's got some world-class midfielders around him that he can learn off every day. We deserve the win, really. I would say first half Wolves done, second half I would say I wouldn't say so. But let's talk about the controversy after the game, because it's Brazil versus Argentina, isn't it? And they've got history. I don't know if you've seen it earlier. I think it was pre-season, if I'm not mistaken, because we're wearing green and Bruno grabbed a hat of Romero. When we were in green, was it the League Cup? I can't remember, but Bruno basically got ahead of Romero. We played Spurs 3 times since the end of July already. Pre-season, and then the League Cup, and then obviously the league. So Bruno scores, he does his celebrations. Romero does it. He also does it for the equaliser and the equaliser again, but he does it a lot more for the second one. Obviously, then there's tempers flare at full time because Bruno's like laughing, saying, "You're mimicking me," all this sort of stuff. And Fabian Shares went over and had a word with him and what have you. Look, he picks up a yellow card all the time. He's a shithouse, isn't he? But we've got one in Joe Linton. Other fans hate Joe Linton. Romero's not really liked, but Spurs fans will love him. So it's a bit of afters. I'm not that lost, to be honest with you. I think Joe Linton rattles up a lot of people anyways. But, they've got Romero. Obviously, he's the pantomime villain for us. But obviously, he scored 2 goals. He wants to take the mick out of Brazil, Bruno, what have you, because there's a bit of a history there. There's a bit of afters, but I'm not going to read too much into that, to be honest with you. I just wanted to bring it up because everyone is talking about it, but a bit of afters. What else we got to talk about? League table. Look at that amount of shot here. There we go. I'll just position myself here. So, now the league table, is anyhow, you would have heard from earlier, is incredibly tight. Newcastle are only 3 points off a European place. That's how tight it is now. So, one win and it can rocket you all the way where Brighton are. So, Newcastle sitting in 13th at the minute. But as I say, one win can hit you right up. So, it's very, very tight. You've obviously got the We Are Tyne Derby coming up in just under a couple of weeks. Newcastle could win that. You can leapfrog Sunderland as well. Loads of teams in between there. It's very, very tight. And look, I think it will be that way. I think this is, and as I said earlier, I think it'll be that way for a little bit of a while. But December is a great month to go on a bit of run of form because there's so many games. So if you could win a few games and go on a run, it could literally catapult you hitting the top 5. It really could. So Newcastle, obviously with Burnley on the horizon, need to win at the weekend because points probably more important than performances in December, I would say, because it can just shoot you up that league table dramatically. So that's important, I feel. So there you go. And there's the league table where Newcastle are. It's not the end of the world, as I say. We're only 3 points off 5th place. Matt has joined us as well. He's put an article out. I am going to share that after this, by the way, Matt, which is available on newcastlefanstv.com. So make sure you check that out. He's a regular columnist for us. He goes on to say, "Evening, Lee and everyone. Work ended up carrying over, which catch up in a bit frustrating yesterday after another stoppage time conceded goal. December, good time to quick bounce back against Burnley. We are conceding a lot of goals, and it's becoming, and all the journals are talking about it, and it's coming a bit frustrating because what is it? Is it a doubt the mentality thing? Is it tiredness? Is it all the substitutions? Is it players not knowing where they should know? Is it players not knowing where they should be for set pieces and what have you? Because obviously there's 5 changes by that stage. Who knows? Who knows? But obviously Newcastle fans will walk away from St. James 8 a point is probably on reflection almost fair. I'm not going to say that Newcastle deserved to win. I don't feel that they did, especially the manner of the goals that they conceded. That needs to cut out. And you're asking for a fantastic game to come back at the weekend against Burnley. If there's one side you want to play at home, which is a banker, you would normally say Burnley. Burnley! But aye, Wolfson says I was amazed Bruno started from the bench last night. I'm not, because he has rotated the last 3. Don't be surprised Ramsey starts this weekend. And Turpy's got to say we concede because we sit back. It's all mentality. How can't be telling them to do that? I agree. We are coming further and further and further back as the game goes on. And as I said earlier, I don't mind playing 5 at the back. You can still play higher up the pitch with 5 at the back. Of course you can. It's just the way that we've conceded with that's annoyed us when I see it back, because in the ground you get literally like that. You don't see it again. So until you get home and look at the goals properly, which I've done in the past 12 hours or so, that second goal is more annoying than the first one. They both annoy us, but that second one's more annoyed me because there's a couple of things that could have been prevented. But there you go. Hope you liked it. We're back live. I need to do more lives if you, but hit the like button for us whilst you're watching right now. That means a lot for me for all the graft. Putting this stream together took 2.5 hours to with all the graphics. So if you hit a like, that would be wonderful. If you're watching the rerun, comments down below. I want to know how you feel about it. For Burnley as well, that'll be going handy. If you're listening on the audio, make sure you get yourself over to Newcastle Fans TV on YouTube. And remember, all of these videos go on to audio as well. So if you can't watch us, you can listen to us as well. But yeah, we love you and leave you. Thanks for all your comments, everybody. And we'll see you very, very soon here on Newcastle Fans TV.